First, Donald Trump wins the Iowa caucuses by a historic margin, picking up 50% of the vote, something that no candidate had ever managed before. Now he's romped home in New Hampshire. Nikki Haley is going to be under tremendous pressure now to drop out of the race, even though she has vowed to continue. The question is, do you believe that barring some extraordinary, unforeseen circumstances, it is almost certain that 5th November 2024 will witness a Trump-Biden rematch? And interestingly, a vast majority of Americans have said that is something they do not wish to see. Your thoughts?
No, I think Neha, you are absolutely right. I must compliment you for doing a very good introductory commentary before this program started.
Thank you.
And you have highlighted the important issues. You have highlighted what has happened so far. So there we are. I mean, Trump's victory in New Hampshire is not unexpected. I mean, he is most popular among the Republicans. But there are so many things going against him. All these criminal cases are going against him. There are divisions within the party. Many of his party people don't want him. At least some of them don't want him, particularly in high positions such as governors and so on. And similarly, on the Democratic side also, there is certain skepticism about President Joe Biden, whether he will be able to win the next round and so on. So people are not too happy about by President Biden either. So as you rightly said, I mean, we have a situation where both parties are unhappy with these two people. Many people are unhappy with these two people. But yet, as if the fate has ordained, it looks as if these may ultimately be the party nominees. And of course, Nikki Haley wants to continue for some more time. She wants to see what sort of results she gets in South Carolina and a few other states before giving up. She has some advantages to her side, but I don't think she has the required political support within the party.
That is how it looks increasingly at the moment. Professor Swaran Singh, let me come to you. Now, you know, Nikki Haley has repeatedly made the argument that Donald Trump was singularly responsible for all the electoral losses that the Republicans have seen in recent years. She blamed him for the 2018 losses, the 2022 midterm losses, the 2020 presidential election, of course, which the Democrats won. Another point that she makes repeatedly is that they're almost the same age. Donald Trump is going to be 78 on election day, as we mentioned. Joe Biden is going to be 81, and she says whichever party throws out the 80-year-old candidate first is going to be the winning party. But it doesn't look like any of these arguments are working in favor of Nikki Haley at the moment. She may be betting on South Carolina, her home state, where the next primary is scheduled to be held on the 24th of February. But many are asking, will she even last in the race that long?
I think despite all the flip-flop and his style of speaking, Donald Trump in most surveys is being shown as even more popular than President Joe Biden, who's a sitting president right now. So there is little doubt that at least for the GOP, the grand old party, it's very likely that former President Donald Trump will be the candidate again. But I think the message that comes out of from Hampshire primary is that Nikki Haley is not a candidate to be ruled out very quickly. She has tremendously improved, 20 points improvement in percentage points of reaching about 39% of votes. Though we also see that Donald Trump continues to be above 50% votes, which is interesting because in Iowa, when you had these caucuses, which is a very open style voting with, so voice vote and raising of hands, and in that case, sometimes the bully behavior of a candidate can influence the way voting happens. But here in the primary, you had secret ballot voting, and again, Donald Trump has crossed 50%, which is showing that he's clearly a very strong candidate. But Nikki Haley is going to continue because, as I said, from Iowa to Hampshire, she's shown enormous improvement. And next state, as she keeps saying, is South Carolina, where she was the governor, and she has hoped to further reduce the margin of voting that comes to her and voting that comes to Donald Trump. Her supporters are believing that she might actually cross in South Carolina and then set the mood in a very different direction. But I think what is interesting is that her basic point that she wants to make is, as she says, these two candidates, President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump, she believes are both fossilized plus people, and therefore they are not the leaders who should actually lead America, in making America great again. That definitely has some plus point. Plus, she's a woman candidate, and that again carries a certain, niche supporters that she has over a period of time built for herself. But as of now, it seems for the grand old party, for the Republicans, Donald Trump is right now appears to be a clear winner as a nominee for the party. As far as President Joe Biden is concerned, usually if the sitting president has announced his candidature, he will be the candidate sitting, and some confusion was created because there was also talk of Democratic primary in Hampshire, which is simply because they had passed a law that they will be the first to hold primaries in the country. But Democratic Party, given the fact that they are looking at the kind of demographic make of each of these states, they are trying to opt for more mixed states to be the first states to hold primaries. But Hampshire has decided to go ahead. So there's even a confusion whether they will put President Joe Biden's name among the candidates or will not put. Joe Biden would not like his name to be there because he believes Democratic primaries will begin in different states. But as of now, apparently it looks like it will be between Joe Biden and President Donald Trump.
Right.
And that is what we see as of now. And that is a signal that has come out of Hampshire primary as well.
Clearly, well, it is creditable how far Nikki Haley has come in this contest. There's no doubt about that. But she will have to pull a rabbit out of a hat if she has to go any further than this in this contest. At the moment, it does look like it's going to be a Trump-Biden rematch. I need to take a quick break here on the show. On the other side, we're going to look closely at what a Trump-Biden rematch could mean for the US and the world.
वर्ष 2070 तक भारत नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करेगा।
There's certainly a wall of capital coming into the clean tech, climate tech space, not just in India but across the world.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. You're watching Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna, and we are talking about the US elections. All right, Enena Sukman, let me come to you now. What are you picking up? Does it now look like Trump, Biden? It will be, it's going to be 2020 all over again in November 2024. And Nikki Haley herself pointed out while campaigning that according to polls, 70% of Americans do not want to witness a rematch between these two candidates. But it looks like it's almost an inevitability now.
Well, there are two things working against Haley right now. First, Ron DeSantis dropping out essentially gave most of his votes and support to Donald Trump, which can account for the change in New Hampshire, where Nikki Haley was leading slightly right before that happened. The other issue is perception. What Haley said is accurate. Donald Trump supported failed candidates. He's not popular with the wider public in general elections. The turnout is likely to be very low. All of these things are true, but that doesn't change the fact that Trump has successfully made himself look like the legitimate president with those of his with most of the Republican Party who are now turning out in droves to support him. That he has delegitimized her. He attacked her credibility and portrayed her as a creature of the swamp, as somebody who is backed by who is receiving backing from Democrats, and as someone who does not have a record of political success against him. And finally, her biggest problem is the fact that she simply has not provided enough positive reasons of why people should vote specifically for her as opposed to Donald Trump. She has attacked why he has failed, she has attacked his record correctly, but she has not made her own record enough of an argument in this election. And some people would say that it wouldn't make any difference, that it's all about emotions, that Trump has successfully pushed forward a victimhood narrative, that he has been wronged, and that's the only thing that is driving his supporters. To some extent, it's true, but to some extent, they are very much buying into rhetoric, into his political rhetoric on the economy, on his successes as president, on the foreign policy, and Nikki Haley is being seen as someone who is backing failed paradigms that Donald Trump's supporters are now discarding. He's put Trump and his circles of support invested greatly into influencing public opinion within the party on various foreign policy issues. We may disagree with how that has shaped the public opinion. We can say that it's all terrible, but Nikki Haley simply does not have that sort of reach.